with equals, soaking in. Product of your closest friends. Don't pretend, don't hold it in. Won't burn the bridge, just level up. Life is what you make. How can be replaced? This is a pretty good song. Okay. Well, you're the one who's supposed to be getting the theme song, so.
You can invite people. Working on that. Hello, happy Thursday, happy Friday Eve. What's going on, folks? Welcome to another Thursday night edition of FYL. You didn't have to stop your music. I was just
I was doing too much. I think I was doing too much. I think I was just doing a little too much. So
introduction. I was still waiting for some folks to tap in with us.
It's gonna be the show. It's gonna be a. I mean, I say that every week. It should be a show every week, right? Like, because there's always something. I think relationships are such an interesting dynamic, especially in today's age. So I think we will have stuff to talk about for many, many years to come.
I agree.
Especially, I guess, with the modern relationship, as Uncle Kevin used to call it, modern relationships and modern women in relationship, and how traditional values are being twisted to make it seem as if men want women to be slaves.
I don't even think it's just traditional values. Again, I think it's an attack on femininity, because women are getting attacked for being feminine and saying it's a different way to be and it's a different way to relate to men and things along those lines, like with your girl Cam Newton girl. She triggered Brittany Renner and all kind of stuff.
Oh, we're gonna play the videos.
Yeah, like, it's just, again, I think it's deeper than just screw the traditional. It's like these men gonna submit, these niggas gonna bow down. And, try not to use that word as much, but I think that kind of captures the energy of what I feel like is going on out here, because, Sheba is addicted to paternity court.
Because I am fascinated by people who don't know who their baby daddies are.
Terrible.
I'm fascinated by people who do not know who their baby daddies are.
That show single-handedly invalidates Believe All Women. Okay.
It is really interesting to me for people not to know who their baby daddy is. I gave my advice last week to men about not signing birth certificates unless you know, because it's a legally binding document. So, like, when I watch this show and I'm like, there are women who come on and they test 2 and 3 guys and they've slept with, again, I think I forgot who you got the advice from, but if you're the best one, if you're going to sleep with different men, at least go through your cycle. At least go from one period, be good, and then sleep with the next guy after the other period. Because when you're talking about you slept with one on the 17th and slept on one on the 18th, and then you have to bring a board and you're going back to conception dates and there's a red dot, a blue dot, a green dot. I'm like, oh, that's too much.
Getting exposed. Because, they just got to account for like 2 weeks on paternity court, and you'd be amazed at the bodies that be popping up over 2 weeks.
Yeah, they come with exhibits. If you guys have not seen, again, I tend to end up.
I get it. It's very interesting to me.
I'm fascinated.
But I'm just like, like, it just makes me think of the Chris Rock joke where he nailed it. It's like, men lie more, women tell bigger lies. Men lie, like, I'm at Jules' house and I'm really at the gas station and smoking and talking in the lungs or something like that. And women tell lies like, it's your baby.
Well, there was one woman, well, there's been a couple, but one.
There's been a few that they knew.
No.
They was just picking the guy they wanted to be the most.
Well, that also happened. And then there was one woman who, even after the DNA test, so the DNA test had to be wrong. She said there was no one else that slept with the DNA test. And she had tested multiple guys. And the DNA test, she was like, it's got to be one of them. The DNA test is wrong.
So why did you have multiple DNA tests if you only slept with
Well, apparently there was nobody else with the multiple guys, and then she went on to say, "Well, it's fine, my baby. I'll take care of my baby myself. My baby don't need to know who their father is."
And again, this is look, it's lady, men ain't trying to keep y'all from being lit or like this is the problem that women sleeping around creates. Men can sleep around
There's no
all
evidence.
they want to. There's no evidence of how many bodies I got.
Except when you have women who have babies casually.
Yes. But when you start talking about lady, you sleeping with 2, 3, 4 dudes in the same week, and then you turn up and be pregnant. I have learned. I did not know that twins can be born from 2 different fathers.
Yeah, fraternal twins. If fraternal twins can have 2 different fathers.
Blew my mind. It was just like, but it makes sense. But it blew my mind at the same time because it's just like somebody clearly ain't been being straight up about what they
at all doing. Because fraternal twins. And then there was one I watched. Let me finish. There's one I watched today where she slept with identical twins. The woman slept with identical twins, and so they had to do something else to determine which one of the twins, the identical twins, because identical twins share the same exact DNA. So it was either they were going to be the father or the uncle. And so they had to do another, genetic test they didn't go through with us to determine which of the twins she slept with. And then there was the other woman who had a threesome with her boyfriend's brother. Yes. I have learned so much because I
saw that one. That was funny. And that was just a ridiculous episode right there.
It was too much.
The dude low-key had feelings for her, but yeah, he talking about it was a test. It was a test.
Yeah, it was a test of what she was going to do. She failed the test. And remember, she started without him. He was at work. So when he came in, she was already having sex with the brother.
He was like, you said it was only the 2 times that we did it.
And the brother said it was 10.
It was like 10. And then that's when he was like, he was wounded by that. And it's just, it is ridiculousness. And that's when he was like, the brother was like, is that why you was asking me?
Me had to be your best man because they were engaged.
Come on, man. You ain't talking about being engaged to her, man. You cannot be serious. And it is just like.
It is, because you know what? I'm fascinated because when Rob used to tell me certain stories, again, being born in Jamaica, growing up in Toronto, my perspective and views and the things that I've been exposed to, and of course we have American culture and television and so forth. But I have never really run into, I don't associate myself with certain people. And so when I see this over and over and over and over, and there's seasons and episodes, and yes, there was Maury Povich, and that was extreme. But when it's actually paternity, like, it's a lot. It's
technology that came further, and how much better it's better. How much worse it is. These folks is just. It was when I was watching over Jules' house. The green-eyed cat talking about he was coming from the gym. She was on the train with him. She kept staring at him. Went home with him and let him clap the cheeks.
That's about
right. And then there's another dude who was just like, oh man, it was bad, man.
Hide your kids.
And it was funny that neither one of them wound up being the father. So she brought 2 dudes in the paternity court. It wasn't either one of them. And she just sitting there like, that's when the judge got at her like, I've been doing this long enough to know when somebody's surprised.
You ain't surprised. Because you know it was somebody else.
She was like, it might be 2 or 3 other guys. I'm like,
amen, hallelujah to that.
Yeah,
so, that's a lot.
Like a dampener.
That is a lot. And
you don't believe us? Check out paternity court.
Go on YouTube and look up paternity court, and you will be. And again, I listen to it at the gym now. Again, with Uncle Kevin, rest in peace, God. I just am fascinated, and I listen to it, and it comes to light so much of what he said. So much of what he said comes to light when I watch these things, because I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like this is like when you have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. This woman today was on her 12th child, and still trying to figure out baby daddy issues with 12 children. Anyways, so submission is a flex, but it ain't for everyone is what we are talking about
Clearly
today.
not. Clearly not.
And I feel as if we talk about this a lot, but it seems as if there is an attack on femininity, as Rob has said, and people want to figure out and define, and everybody has their own definition. And when a woman says she submits to her man, women are telling her that it is she needs therapy and how dare she, and the type of man you submit to, it should matter, because if that man has been bad to other women, then why would he be good to you? And why you, it's a whole thing. And so we wanted to talk about what submission means in our relationship, and we're going to play a couple of clips of what kind of sparked us even having the discussion, and all of these, again, different definitions of submission, and trying to make submission an equal man and woman thing, which I know you're not about that, right?
Yeah, you sure when you played that clip for me this morning, I was like, the hell with that. Like, it's just not how it works. And it's more the same BS that's got the world in so much turmoil. Because again, it's going on a global scale, but it's not as, it's really just full-fledged, fully blown out, fully wild here, where it's like, look, trying to do what men do is got this world going crazy.
Facts.
It does.
Facts.
It is.
We're not men.
And y'all cannot out-whore a man.
That's facts. And it
You know
seems
why?
like that's what's trying to happen. Like, well,
No,
he
it
did
is.
it, so I did it, and
No,
I was a get back. Like, we shouldn't be having get
The
back,
tit for tat.
unprotected sex, and
He
then having
cheated,
babies.
so I slept with his cousin.
Oh, no.
Like,
Cousin.
and you think y'all are even? But again, him an idiot for still dealing with you after that.
Facts.
Because that's some
Facts.
that's some 304 stuff, and you're not supposed to be in serious relationships with 304s. That's,
And
at least
for
that's how.
everybody who doesn't know what a 304 is, please let the people know.
Oh, like Luda, bring out Ludacris, use a hoe. And look, it's nothing wrong with it. I happen to look. I don't hate on hoes, but I hate on hoes that act virtuous. That I can't stand.
So own being a hoe.
Own it, baby. Just be what you are. Letting brother know what he's dealing with up front. Make sure he treats you right and accommodates you in whatever the way it is. You know, some of y'all 304ing for marijuana and
Not
Red
304
Lobster.
for marijuana and Red Lobster.
Facts.
Not 304.
Make sure you're getting covered though, whatever you're doing. But look, man, the world would really be in bad shape without hoes, man. Because like that's, but it's actually getting kind of bad because y'all not spreading the love no more.
What is it even?
They all going after the same dude.
But has not always been the case? Men with money or men with certain
They
superior
used to
quality.
be happy with the little $150 from the little garbage man or whatever. You know, they don't want that no more.
Not in the social media age when everybody's flexing and showing
Like
their highlight reel.
everybody, I just realized, like, man, if you go based off of Instagram and photographs, only like women's beauty scale is ridiculous these days. Like,
Let's elaborate.
if you just went off of photographs and Instagram, every woman is fantastic looking. But then there's reality, and it's just like, I've been in this situation. I've been at work before and seen a post go up on social media where I'm like,
Of the person that is at work with
and I'm
you.
like, yo, I just seen you like 5 minutes ago. There's no way this picture is you. But that's how it's going down.
You're the liar.
No, I'm dead ass serious.
But I would assume the way you come to work. I mean, I guess unless
I-
you're doing all the extra contouring and
Man,
all that
the
extra
filters
stuff.
and angles, man, do wonders for y'all, man.
That's hilarious.
Filters and angles do wonders for women, fellas. You gotta be cautious with that, man.
I don't do filters on my picture because I think it's disingenuous.
You think that women care about that?
I would hope you care about being genuine. I think
You watch Paternity Court. Oh,
Yes, I do.
We're being disingenuous. Are you for real?
You
right
know
now?
what? Because I think the whole concept of like catfishing for me is always because people have told you, people have used my pictures Especially when back in the day when I used to model, like people would
Watch
take
that
my
circle
pictures.
show.
Yes, catfishing. Yes. Anywho,
This world fugazi. You got to be careful.
what is fugazi?
Fake.
Okay, fugazi.
Yeah, I think it's Italian.
Okay.
For fake.
Okay, this world is fugazi. Well, we are not fake. So let's talk about the submission. So we wanted to redefine submission, and if you just move over here, so submission for us equals respectful cooperation. And we figured we would define the two words in our definition so that people know, right? Respectful, feeling or showing deference and respect. And if you've watched our show enough, you know that our number one rule in our relationship is no disrespect. And so respect is the foundation of our relationship. And then cooperation, the process of working together to the same end. Rob and I work together all the time. However, if again there is a fork in the road, we're going the direction that Rob is taking us. That is, I guess, submission.
And here's the other thing, and a lot of what you're trying to change the dynamics of is working together does not mean we do the same thing. Look, if a man pitches in with like house stuff and baby stuff and stuff like that, that is a plus. It's not a requirement. He doesn't turn around and say, hey, I changed the diaper. Why don't you go take that trash out?
Not gonna do that.
Men don't do stuff like that.
I'm not gonna do that.
Well, stop thinking that it's gonna be like y'all.
Because again, I think it's the equality, right? There is no equality in life.
There isn't nothing. There's equal opportunity,
but there's no equality in life. And here's the issue I was thinking about today, right? When we again redefine it in terms of respectful cooperation, think about how many times you're at work and you disagree with the direction that your boss is going in, right? I've been there. I'm in meetings, and we used to have these management meetings, and we would sit there and they're talking about the direction. I'm sitting there, I'm like, this is a bad idea. And you might voice your opinion. You might say, looking at that, I was considering XYZ. And they say, thank you, Toshiba, for your thoughts. But you know what? Based on our analysis, this is the direction you're going. Would I stomp my feet and say, no, you know what? I'm done with this shit and I quit. We don't do that. We say, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go because the leadership has this, even if you're on the leadership team, and I've been on the leadership team, there is still a leader, a main decision maker on the leadership team. And it's going to go in the direction that they want to go. And it's going to go down with them. If the ship goes down, they're the captain of the ship. So it's always, again, interesting to me that we are supposed to be co-leads in the relationship. No, there's still, we can have the discussion, we can voice our opinions, but at the end of the day, someone has to make a decision to move us forward. And there is no back and forth. There's no, one day I make the decision, babe, and then the next day, because, queen energy requires that you as my king, you're supposed to.
Listen, there is a saying in the National Football League about the position of quarterback, which is the leadership position on an offensive football team. If you got two quarterbacks, you ain't got one.
You can't have two quarterbacks.
If you got two quarterbacks, you ain't got one.
That makes no sense to have two quarterbacks.
It makes no sense to have two point guards. Quarterbacks, you ain't got one.
It makes no sense to have 2 point. It's always like when I see a 5 dribbling the ball down. You've heard me say, I'm like, why he's bringing the ball down? Like, give it to the one, give it to the point guard. I'm using numbers in basketball. So it's like the center. I don't like when the center dribbles the ball down. The point guard should dribble the ball down because the point guard is what brings it together. So it doesn't make sense when people don't understand playing a position. But it doesn't mean, again, we're going to go through some videos and we're going to hear one very angry person who's always coming on social media, voicing her opinion in her car. She's just, anyways, Brittany Renner. But we will hear what she thinks about the idea of submission and what it means to her and why it triggers her so much. And stop listening to people whose lives you wouldn't switch for that. As much as people say that they would switch their life for Brittany Renner because she's beautiful, whatever they may think. I don't think anybody wants to switch their life with a woman who has been passed around and never claimed. And the one guy who did try to claim her is a young man because he's younger than her, and she didn't like the direction he was taking her life. Now she's stuck with a baby, and he's out there living his best 20-something-year-old life. And she's 30, flirty, and fun, or whatever she is right now, talking about a stepdaddy season.
Here's the thing. All of her recent videos have been in what I am now deeming as the breakdown mobile.
Yeah, it's a car.
She's in the car, so after she's done crying and whining and all that other mess, she feels emboldened to make those videos because I'm going to show y'all. Says people don't like, look at Sha'Carri Richardson. People's rooting for her. She got banned for smoking weed because her mom died. She was like, I was at the funeral with family, you know. But since then, she's been making the worst videos. Has had the worst attitude. And her support has dwindled. You know why?
Why?
Because that's not what people expect from women. People don't expect women to keep making a bad situation worse. Men have claim to that.
Interesting.
But we don't live in that world no more.
So
because casually having babies, like you said, you had Mrs. had 11 children, had a threesome with 2 dudes, got pregnant, and decided it was miracle baby number 12.
In her 40s.
How is that a good decision?
It's not.
But
here we go. So we're going to start with the video that has sparked outrage across Beyonce's internet. There's clips of a couple of them, and then we're going to play Brittany Renner's response. And we're going to explain why Brittany Renner feels so triggered by what this young lady, gorgeous woman, by the way, has to say. Give me a second.
He's going to hold on to her.
There's only 2-minute clips.
Woman do for her man?
Everything.
The funny thing is that
What does that mean?
You know, like packing his bag, unpacking his bag, just making sure all the things that he wants. And like, I pretty much read his mind. So it's like, if I know you and I study you, like I know how you are in the morning, I know how you are about midday, I know when you're in this mood, what you need. Like before you can ever ask me for something, I'm already on it. I mean, he's spoiled. And you know, when I talk to my girlfriends about it, I was like, oh, how you guys doing? And I'm just like, girl, he's rotten. I'm like, he's spoiled rotten. Like he's rotten. But I love that. Like I want him to be that. I think my biggest flex is how I treat my man. And I've been known to love people back to health. And sometimes it's very draining, but my love is my superpower. And I used to hate that about myself. But now it's like, I'm just embracing it. Like that's who I am. Like if I love you, I can heal you.
It's your joy.
It is my joy. You know, I love to see him eating the meal that I cook. I love seeing him sleep easy every night, like clockwork. I scratch this man's back to sleep. And I know when he's asleep because I can tell when his breathing changes. And some people might think that's psychotic, but that's like, I just know that's when I'm like, oh, I can stop now. But I find joy in being your rest, you know? So know what that means. And that works for us because he wants what I have to offer.
What are you getting from all that you're giving? What are you asking for in return? Art of submission lost?
In who? Just
In
overall?
mainstream culture?
Yes. You know why? And I think it's because men don't make women feel safe to be that. Some men will say, oh, women are too this, they're too that. But it's like, actually, you're just not giving me that king-like energy that makes me want to submit to you. Because I think all women have that in them. It's just, except for you. You said it's not you. You said it's very clear it's not you. What is that? Not the trends, but I love that you know that about yourself.
I do.
But it's so funny because you're saying this and I'm just like, that's everything that I am not. But I love that for you though.
And I love this for you.
Yeah.
I do.
And this is how we meet in the middle.
I'ma take you on a trip, baby. I don't pretend. I said, that was a friend.
I didn't know she had all of that. I didn't know she had all
But in the art of submission for me,
There we
I
go.
can't speak for everybody, is being joyful about it. You know, that want of, and I think not even just a want, the power of knowing that you have the power to make someone's day better. And that's a choice and easier. Yes, better and easier. That's a choice that you have to make. I always make the choice to do it. I always make the choice to do it. I like to give, I like to allow my person to lead. They know, especially like when it translates in the bedroom, I like to feel dominated. You know what I mean? Like I want a man to be a man. Now there's times I might like, you know, it's really obvious.
So, this young lady happens to be rumored girlfriend of Cam Newton.
Mhm.
And there has been a lot of crap about Cam Newton in the news recently because he spoke about the type of woman he wants, which is clearly the type of woman that that young lady, Jasmin Sanders, who's got Jamaican background, by the way, is. And he talks about the type of woman he did not want, which was the next young lady we're going to talk about, because he said directly to her face, I would not date you. I would not run up in your DM. I'm not trying to be in your book. I'm not trying to, you ain't it for me. And so every time this man's name comes up or anything about him, she gets triggered and she goes off, and she decided to make a counter video talking about submission and what it meant in her book. And let me just quickly rewind this. And this, for people don't know, is Brittany Renner. So let's see what Brittany Renner has to say about submission.
This, why men love the idea of a submissive woman. Submissive, per its definition, is ready to conform to the authority or will of others. The prefix sub means under. Think of subpar, submarine. In short, your world is under his. Now there seems to be a theme here. Good girls versus bad girls. A lock that can be opened with many keys is a broken lock. And if you can't submit to the man, you're gonna die alone. So my question to men is, do you want perfect Polly, a puppet, a prisoner, or a partner who has no problem overtly challenging you? King treatment and knowing your partner's love languages, that's one thing. Being submissive is a whole other thing. It's its own thing. If you find yourself abandoning your wants, needs, desires to make something work, I'm here to tell you, it was never a match to begin with.
Robert?
You want me to talk?
Yes, please.
Oh my. Like I low key really like Brittany because she's got potential, but I'm gonna quote Bill Parcells, potential ain't nothing but stuff you ain't done yet. And she ain't done nothing. Like what? Why did she even need to make that video other than triggered by that's Cam Newton's girlfriend? Again, it only makes sense. But that's where, to prove my, like, to even feed into my earlier point of, that's why I think the point of feminism had, look, y'all got us whooped. We can't say barely shit. You know what I'm saying? We can barely speak about how we truly feel and what we truly want. Like that's, she says, why do men love submit, the idea of submission? Why do women hate it? Why do women hate it?
Why do black women hate it? I'm gonna rephrase
it. It
the
ain't
question.
just black, but majority.
I'm gonna.
It's a bigger problem in our community, but it's a lot of women that hate the idea of that. That's why you got her trying to make the other girl look like a fool. I can't say
how
can Brittany throw shade at somebody else's relationship?
I can't say the Asian culture hates submission. They're entitled.
Oh yeah, that's well. It's,
culture is.
You're gonna get sent up in the mountains if you ain't submissive,
right?
Like Asia, I think they're gonna send you with the monks.
I think white women's culture is based on being feminine, and there's a bit of femininity that is based on submitting, right? I think the narrative for black women, and I talk about in my book, No Handouts for Black Girl, if white women have cornered the market on vulnerability and weakness, what were we supposed to do? So this idea of submission takes away from the narrative that black women have held on to, which is We are independent and strong and all of that. So now coming and saying, yes, submit to a man, be, as we call it, be respectfully cooperative in your relationship. It takes away from the only narrative that Black women have had to hold on to for the last 30 to 40 years. And so they're going to attack any woman who comes and says, you know what? I enjoy rubbing my man's back to bed. I enjoy doing for him. I enjoy making sure he's had a healthy meal. Like, what are you talking about? You're supposed to be strong and independent. So you are right. It isn't an attack on women necessarily. It's an attack on femininity. And that's the crazy part to me.
It's like women that are embracing that role and leaning into that role are being like treated as less than. It's being treated as, oh, well, you could have been a strong, independent woman, but you chose to be a weak, submissive woman, and that's not what it is. But the weak, submissive women, ironically, have way more successful relationships than the strong, independent ones.
Well, but then at the same time, the strong, independent women will say, well, we're getting cheated on. Because I get told that all the time. I get told, like quite often on social media, I get told you're cheating on me. I get told that I remember, me saying something about there was this clip online and this guy was like running in a hospital gown because the hospital had given his girlfriend his phone and it was a password situation. I'm like, this is so ridiculous. Like, we have each other's password. It's not a big deal. And somebody was like, you think that your man is out there? He probably has a secret app on his phone. So even though you have his password, there's another app that and I'm like, damn, like what kind of toxic relationships are you guys in that even a woman just saying that's a little ridiculous? Like maybe not the relationship if you're going to be going on like that because the hospital gave your girl your phone. And I got trying to get dragged because people were saying to me, girl, don't think you're in no perfect relationship. Your man's out there cheating on you. So you're a cheater. I get told all the time that you cheat on me because I should not be proud of my relationship because you're definitely cheating on me, according to the social media trolls.
I mean, but that's all they can really say to try to make it like you gotta be getting what they get. Like, look, man. Especially the more resources a dude got, the more determined he is that he's gonna fill out his life in the way that he needs to, that he wants to, that he desires to. So he'll deal with a little 40% chick if that's good for the little 40%, but he'll compensate with another 40% and a 20% or something like that. He's gonna do. That's where that energy, like all men cheat, come from or whatever. But she's not 40%. She's the 80%. So what I look like running around in the streets for you 20%?
No,
I don't even need to do that when I can get another 80% with her. That's what really be driving y'all crazy. And I mean, like that's the only type of shade you can that you can throw. Like she gets the same thing. Cam always been cheating. He got 7 kids. Blah, 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 blah. Man, look, Cam won't wind up marrying that girl if she keep up that type of behavior.
And I'm gonna get to her for a second. Here was something, because I had a conversation with someone about that video. And I kind of simplified it a little bit. And this is what I was saying. I said, I feel the same way. I enjoy watching you eat the meal that I cook. I feel useless sometimes when I have nothing to do. Even this morning, I don't know what I woke up this morning and I was like, babe, like, what are you going to wear? Because my morning routine is I wake up, I iron his clothes, I get his breakfast, he goes off to work, and then I do my thing. And he was like, this is what I'm going to wear. And he's like, but I don't think it needs to be ironed. So I looked at it, I put it up, and I'm like, okay, no. So I put it on the bed. And then I was like, do you want French toast? He's like, no, I think I'm just going to go off to work. And I kind of looked at him and I'm like, okay, so I feel like useless. Like, what if I was just going to get up and go to the gym? Like, I was like, part of my routine is doing something for him before he leaves the house.
I think that's also to the fact that, like she said, he's spoiled. He's so spoiled. He's aware of that too. And even if he does do some dumb shit, right? When you've been spoiled, and then, like, it's like staying at the Ritz-Carlton for months and then moving into the Howard. the Hampton Inn,
Yeah, that's horrible.
the Howard Johnson, or
Ugh,
something like that.
horrible.
You like,
Ew,
I can't do this.
Yeah, I get
So
that.
once you've had a woman that supplements your needs, that makes your day better and easier. We were watching a show, and again, dude called his wife specifically, like, "Where my socks at, babe?" Like,
And what
I
did
say
Rob
that
say
all the
this
time.
morning
I'll be
to
like,
me? He
"You
was
know
like,
what?
babe, where's my
Where's
belt?
my socks?
It's like, where's
Or
my belt?
You be moving stuff, you be grabbing stuff, you touching stuff. You always straightening up. Where's my belt? Not this belt. This belt is the one I was wearing.
I went to go get his belt, and I was like, yeah, something
And then she
too.
hid it from me. It was hanging on my tie rack, and I'm like,
Yeah, because that's where it's supposed to go. Anyways, I know where all of his stuff is, even when he does it, and that works. Like, that works for us. But what I was explaining to someone is, I said, here is the thing that women have to consider, especially when it comes to Black men. Many Black men were men, and they were never boys.
"That's
This man beside me, he didn't get a chance to be a boy. He's been a man for a very long time. He didn't get to do the boy-like things that our son will get to do. He didn't grow up in an environment where he could just be, you know what, Rob's just 10, Rob's just 8, Rob's 10. And that's what that means, and it's time for him to be a man. So as his woman, I do the things to put him in a state where he can have that nurturing feeling. So I love when Rob goes to sleep before me, because I know he doesn't have to worry. I love lotioning his skin and putting his beard oil in and soaking his crusty feet and trying to skin it and cutting his toenails and giving him those moments, because I understand, and it's no disrespect to how he was raised, but I understand that the way he was raised, he had to be a man. He didn't get to be a boy. And now he has to be the man and leader of our house. And so the moments that I get to alleviate that from him, it brings me joy.
I appreciate it. Well, I think a good opportunity as a woman in general is do stuff for that man that he don't like to do for himself. Do it for him. Like, most men don't like, well, let me not say that, because we live in a very different world. But in my era, most men weren't raised on like personal grooming and care. Like, you try to keep your teeth straight, you try to keep your situation straight, cleanly, keep your hygiene up. But this like immaculate hair and like really like the I don't know, it's just a little different, you know what I'm saying? So there are things that, yeah, like I'm not gonna, I don't have a what's it called, a moisturization.
He doesn't have a
schedule
routine.
or nothing like that. I don't really have a routine other than I brush my teeth when I get up and I go to bed, and I can hop in the shower and stuff like that. So yeah, the things like, I don't notice the condition of my feet. It's not a big deal to me. But she's like, and puts these plastic boots on, and man, my feet be feeling smoother and shit. And I'm like, yo, it's dope, because that's not something I would do myself. I've never looked at my feet and be like, damn, my feet hard.
And I do all the time.
I'm like, dude, like, now I would say if my hands was like, because I ain't a manual laborer. I'm not throwing no shade at it. I'm just like, it's been a long time since I've been dunking and stuff like that. All them calluses is gone. I don't miss them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She does a lot of stuff for me that I don't like to do. Like she said, pack his bag, unpack his bag. He don't like to do that. He don't even want to. They said Dre got a closet full of the same clothes.
Yeah, so
he don't like picking out clothes. So he got like 50 pair of white ones and a bunch of black pants and a bunch of black t-shirts and sweatshirts.
Yeah, so when we're going out, I do pick out Rob's outfits and I will iron it. Like, there's certain things that I'm just like, okay, babe, we're gonna go here, and he's like, and he doesn't care. He's like, whatever. And so I take his clothes and I iron it, and I'll give different options. And like, which ones do you like? This one, this one. He points to them. They're ironed. They're put on the bed. I'll pick his socks if I have to. Because you know what? He doesn't have to think about it. If it's less brain power for him to think about something that ultimately is actually not that important to him, but you know what? It's important to me. I'm very big on presentation. I'm very big in how we present ourselves, especially as a Black couple, especially as Black people. I present myself to the world in a certain way, and Rob's in a certain position that he's got to present himself to the world. So everywhere we go, I'm like, people are watching. And so if it's not important to him, I've made it important to me. And so I do those things and it makes me feel good. It's the way that I show love. And that's not being under him. That's actually being where I'm like, listen, it is what it is. This is the man that I love. And if I want him to be in the world in a certain way, I'm going to present him in that way. So this idea of submission being subpar and I'm underneath him. And of course, girl, you got to be cheating on you, because that's what people think. If I'm being traditional, I'm being cheated on. It doesn't matter how pretty I look, because I've been told, and it don't matter how good you look. Like I get told all you'd be surprised how people go in on me on social media.
You really got me thinking, like, because remember with the conversation we had on the other show the other night, where I was like, okay, traditionally the standard was, don't give him no coochie until he gives you a ring. Don't give him no kids until he gives you a ring, right?
Right.
But I thought about just now the other side of that. But he ain't giving you no ring unless you submit to him. So that standard got pushed back. And whose doing was that? And we both agreed that was women. Men was surviving and competing in that environment where if you really wanted that woman, you had to marry her. You had to pursue her. You had to make a home and build it around her. And all that other cheating stuff, you had to really go through some serious effort and have like a whole other family or something like that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Down south niggas mastered that. You know what I mean? But that's a whole different feat than y'all just casually having sex and you just casually had a baby.
And that's the thing. It's almost as if it's a standard.
I built a home?
Like, well, our standards are also being put to the test, right? Because I had standards coming into this relationship, and Rob had standards coming into the relationship.
We're 40-something, though.
We're 40-something in our second marriages.
Been doing enough dumb shit that I was straight up and down. Like, I'd rather be by myself. I'm good on my own. And she was in the same place. Like, and we say that sometimes to people. It's like, you gonna fuck around and lose your husband because of your boyfriend.
That fact. You are staying in a place where that man or that man,
your husband can't come into your life because
your boyfriend is there.
Dumbass boyfriend standing there, or vice versa. You can't find your queen because you got a trailer load of ratchet hoes.
You gotta be ratchet and hoes. But I think they're ratchet and hoes. But I think it's so interesting that this idea of, again, we're redefining it. So for a lot of people, submission is a dirty thing. In our house, it's respectful cooperation.
Respectful cooperation. Respect. She respects me enough to not get in my way of me doing what I got to do. Because again, there's certain, like that lady that was in the car showing, and she's like, when a man really got problems, he gonna retreat and try to deal with it and isolate you from that. He don't want you to be no part of that. Like when it's only like 15 cents in the damn checking account, she don't never really know that. Like, because I'm like, that's when I really need to make sure that things is going well, because it's not gonna be that way for long. But I'm like, I eat all of the financial stress in this house. Like she doesn't have a ton. She Jamaican, so she gonna worry about some shit. You know what I'm saying? But I try to remove as much of that off of her plate as possible because I'd rather it sit on my chest than on hers. But with that is peace of mind. You know what I'm saying? She gets to live exactly how she feels that she does, and it's a more natural progression because when you handling everything, my fellas. You honestly do just leave her with the choice of all she can do is leave. And if she don't want to leave, she's not going to go nowhere. I will never tell her to get out. But she definitely has had times where she's been stomping her feet and Robert, I'm leaving.
Okay, don't be
not that far, but you've sent me strongly worded emails and shit like that.
I have sent you strongly worded emails.
And strongly worded texts and stuff like that. And I'm like, but that's because, again, you're a dominant personality. We talk about this, but she's not more dominant than me. And that's why, again, maybe if you can't submit to that man, you're not with the right dude.
And that's the part that always is so interesting to me is the idea of submission is so weak. Like she said, do you want perfect Polly? Like this idea that the women who have decided to submit to their men, who their men lead, as if we are not dominant in other areas, like we are being run over and walked on and so forth. Again, I have been in leadership positions. I counsel people to lead in their businesses. I understand what it's like to take businesses to the next level. I understand what it's like to lead staff and be responsible for all of that. I don't do that in my house because he leads. I am not a weak, vulnerable, all of that stuff. And there's actually also nothing wrong with vulnerability. It's not weakness. And we need to stop acting as if, saying to the people around you, no, my man runs the house. He runs this boat. He runs the ship. Yes, everything that Rob says, everything that goes on within these walls, I make the rules about how the house is run.
She run the house, I run our life.
And then, exactly. And so that's my superpower. My superpower is making sure that this house runs, the kids are taken care of, all of the things that needs to be done, he doesn't have to worry about. That's my superpower.
She's not a prisoner. She can freely go. I actually actively encourage her because I know how difficult it is building a new life in a new city and going through all of that. And, it's tough. So I don't just discount that or act like, it's been long enough, I'm tired of hearing it. And blah, blah, blah. It's no, I get how difficult it is. So I try to supplement and support that the best way that I know how, but I still got to run our life and stuff like that too. And it's a balancing act, and she understands that, and I understand that. But at the same time, I don't get to ignore her feelings or her wants or what she got going on or anything like that, because that ultimately is going to come back to me.
And you don't.
And no, I don't have to. You know what I'm saying? Like it's certain stuff that's why I'm like, people, you just said you was a boss and you 5,000 employee. How wasn't that really difficult?
Yeah, but it didn't know ginger.
How difficult is submitting?
Not at all.
How difficult is being feminine?
I'm pretty carefree. I take
How
naps.
difficult is
I took a nap today.
That's something that should come naturally to every woman. It's just like I said, because don't debate me. Every woman did whatever her first boyfriend said, and then he did you dirty.
And I would agree to that.
But the first guy, every woman submitted to her first boyfriend. Do not debate me.
I would say that was the experience that I've seen. They wanted to please them because they were chosen. There was something about, and especially the type of boyfriend you had in the beginning, right? Like my first boyfriend was like, he went to a different school, but he was like captain of the basketball team and all of that, right? Like, and it mattered. Like, I don't care if he was captain of the debate team. I don't care if captain was that. If you especially were with a guy that all the other women wanted and you got chosen, it was a big deal.
Alpha widow. It's like if Drake took your virginity, it's gonna be a tough going for you, son. Shorty, because it's gonna be hard to go out there in the streets and deal with regular dudes when Drake was you the best I ever had in the first, and he wrote that song about you and all this crazy stuff, right? It's nothing to make him like he's that great or to diminish the next dude or that's a personal problem actually, because you probably should have stayed with him, but he had too many hoes for you and you had to break up with him.
But here's the thing: when women say, I will submit to the right man,
that's bullshit.
It is, because I would want you to define what the right man look like. Because one would assume that Cam Newton, like a man like Cam Newton of power, would be the right man. I would assume someone like a Russell Wilson. I would assume someone like a Denzel, definitely. Like those are the right men.
Okay, can you imagine LeBron James going on TV and saying, "I'll play hard for the right coach"?
No, we talked about that in an episode. That looks ridiculous.
Can you imagine Tom Brady like, "I'll throw the ball better for the right coach"?
No, that doesn't make sense.
Do you think that actually makes it that it doesn't? Because okay, you've been throwing 50-11 interceptions, and all of a sudden the coach comes in, and now you bullseye accurate.
It doesn't happen.
And you can't turn it on and off in anything.
It doesn't.
Sports is the best example. Either you play hard or you don't. You can't pick and choose when you play hard. You can't pick and choose when you submit. If you say, like I said, that's what I was like, it's book. You don't even know how to. That's like, oh, if I was in the NBA, I'd be an all-star. You can't even dribble. What are you talking about?
So that's why we called it respectful cooperation, right? Because if you have not been cooperative in other relationships, what makes you think that your Beyonce comes along and you're going to be cooperative in that one? All of a sudden there's a light that switches and you go, oh my God, yes. There are things that I do for Robert I have not done in other relationships. It's unique to Robert. However, if Robert were to line up if Robert were to have a conversation with my ex-husband, he would say very much the making sure he's good, ironing his stuff, all of that stuff, that was done in that relationship as well, because that's a part of who I am. But there are certain things that are very unique to Robert. As it should be different. Like, not everybody got the same out of me, but I was never the, oh my God, and you BS ninja. And like, I was never that. I was never that girl, and all of a sudden I switched to somebody else. But people got varying degrees of the Toshiba that Robert gets. And you have honestly gotten the best out of me, and that's for a variety of reasons.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Sure. But it's like, I think, again, I don't even really know how to put it. It just doesn't work like that. That's like a guy saying I'll be a provider for the right woman, and he perennially unemployed.
I'll go find
But
that.
I'm gonna work hard for the right one. I'm gonna get a job, and I'm gonna be there every day for the right woman.
But he's been sitting on the same crate on the corner for the last 10 years.
Because the flip flop of that is that's basically somebody telling you, I fuck with you, but not that much. Not that much, though. Okay? Which is basically nothing. If you believe something like that, you stupid. Let me just say it straight like that. And on the flip of that, that's where, like, do you want someone who utterly challenges you?
Overtly
Challenges you. Listen here, ladies, I'm gonna give y'all a secret about men. When a man hears that mess you talk about, he needs to prove to you and all this other stuff. You know what a man hears? You don't got a problem with submission. You want me to submit to you.
Well, according to women, submission is supposed to be a two-way street.
Men are not designed to submit. Most men will choose death over submission.
Oh, no, not that. There was, again,
tapping out.
The clip we listened today, the women said
men are not designed for submission.
Submission is a two-way street.
No, it's not, because men are not wired for it.
Well, that's the new narrative now. Submission is a two-way street.
Look, prisoners of war get executed. They don't become the other nation. They don't just fall in with other guys.
No. That's why
I know the Nazis, we were just shooting at y'all, but y'all beat us, so now we're going to be Nazis with you.
It doesn't work that way. Well, there's also, I thought was interesting is one of the things that I saw with Jazz's clip, that people were taking it and saying women like her, and I will include myself in that, women like us need therapy. Because
like you,
because again, I do this very similar. I do similar things to what Jazz does for Cam for you, right? And so women like us should get therapy. We need therapy because this idea that we're gonna just do things for our men, that's a problem. You shouldn't just do things for your man. There should be there's this idea that there should be checks. Like it should be like, babe, I did this for you, so what are you doing for me? Just like at the end of the clip where she said, so what is he doing for you?
Like you remember like again, your other girl, you moved on to fraternity court, but Kendra G.
No, I'm still watching Kendra.
We gonna air.
Still watching Kendra.
Talk a little bit about her for a second, because she's very interesting to me. Appreciate what you're doing. Loving the glow up, all of that, but it's very ironic that you went after Kevin while he was alive, and now you sound like him.
Very much so. That's what people are calling her in the comments.
Nicer.
They're calling
and now they're
Kendra
coming
Samos
for you for the same things, because you are trying to hold people to a certain level of standards, You are trying to get people to cancel a little bit of that delusion. But what's especially is your rebuttal video that you made where you was calling him out about his children and his familial life and his experience. But where's your man, Kendra? How you running a single show when you ain't got a man?
Well, here's the thing. How can you talk about relationships?
Or you keep him in the cut?
Well, that's what she's saying.
Because he's less than you.
Oh, no.
That's why you keep him in the cut.
Oh, no.
Sheba can't keep me in the cut.
Oh, well, I want brains.
That's that part.
Why would I keep you in the cut?
Because he's less than her.
Well, that's what people also say about Nicki Minaj and
Stedman.
her
Oprah
husband.
kept Stedman in the cut. That's why. Are they even together anymore?
Yeah, no, they're still together.
I don't know. But she kept him in the cut because he's less than her. He's the house husband.
That's interesting. So you don't think that their dynamic is that he's powerful at home?
If it was a situation, okay, here's a situation where a brother can have no power and still make me think he can run his house. What's her name? She was in the WNBA. She became an activist. I might have to pull up another page real quick.
I don't think you can.
Maya Moore.
I don't know.
It was this dude on death row. She spent like the last 10 years helping him get off of death row. I guess in the midst of that, they developed feelings for each other. They are not married. They just had their first kid.
Okay.
He has spent most of his, since he was 16, he spent most of his life in prison.
Oh, wow.
She is a WNBA All-Star, probably top 50 women's player all time, all that.
Okay.
And I guarantee he runs that house.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the man.
And she was a forward in the WNBA, catching rebounds, throwing bows, and all of that. But she can't dominate a man who spent 10, 11, 12 years in prison. He's not going to allow that. He's not going to submit to you. I don't care what kind of benefits it might gain his life. Yeah, he might live in a nice house. There's some dudes that's not having that, period. They'd rather live in a 4x4 on their own than be under some rich lady thumb in a mansion. That's why I said men don't submit. We're not wired for that. So if your dude submits to you, you don't got a man.
Oh, no. Just let me go, though. And
That sounded rough, but
but why?
Is, right?
But here's my thing: why would we were designed differently for a reason? Why would I want that? Because
you don't respect it.
Well, we don't, and to be quite frank, that would be exhausting because I have to go out there and slay the dragons in the work world, and then I have to come home and operate in that same space at home. That energy is exhausting. I want peace in my life too. I want to come home and lay all of my burdens somewhere. And if I walk through the door and it's always, Robert, you do that, and that's going to be done. And remember that this has to be paid. And and then the car, and all of that. I don't want to do that. And especially if, again, I'm being powerful out there in the world. I relish not having to do that. I relish being able to turn all of that off and knowing that that is handled. Do you want me to blow in your eye?
No, I do not.
That's what you're supposed to do. It's so ridiculous, right? Like there is a peace that I find in being able to say, okay, whew, I'm good now. Like I'm sure there's a peace you find with saying again the things that I deal with that you don't have to even use brain power on. Remember the other day at Chipotle when you're like, if I had to think about the things that you think about,
the shit you think about, I would fucking just pass out, and overload. Like we're wired very different. We got very different roles. We got very different lanes, and I enjoy and prefer to be in mine, and she enjoys and prefers to be in hers. That's why it works. Look, we've been saying that from the beginning of this show. If you want a partner, then get you a dude that wants to be partners with you. Probably a younger guy, less established. 50-50 sounds good.
But understands but
he's gonna grow into a dude that's not gonna want that.
But even if it's an older guy, but if you say you want 50-50, understand what 50-50 means. 50-50 isn't when you want it to be 50-50.
Right.
50-50 means that everything in your life is split down the middle. You don't get to say, I want to go 50-50 and then expect chivalry. You don't say, I want 50-50, but look at him when the car needs to be gassed up and say, are you going to go take that to the gas station? Oh, no, we 50-50, babe.
I did it last time.
And then you go do it next time.
Your turn.
Go to the gas station, even when he's sitting there. Oh, you know what? I drove last time, so you're driving this time. I paid for the kids thing this time. You got to do it this time. That's what 50-50 truly means. You can't want a 50-50 relationship only when it's convenient. So if it isn't 50-50, then what is it? It's respectful cooperation, and he makes a decision of when you're going left. There are things that happen where I'm just like, with our daughter, she'll be like something, and I'll say, Daddy said no. And she said, okay, well, then that's it. Daddy said no.
And I get it, ladies, like why some of y'all are so burnt by it, because let's call it what it is. You submitted to assholes. Like, you submitted to someone who had the bright idea to use you as a drug mule or something like that.
You're so extreme.
Why? But you have to be in these days and age. Why? Do you think he gives an F about you if he says, put this in your coochie and jump on this flight, take this to New York for me? Huh? I don't care what kind of stuff he's whispering in your ear. Does the actions line up? No, they don't. But y'all don't even want to be patient enough to even find out if it's attention versus intention. You're too busy smashing dudes within a relatively short time of meeting them. And I can't believe I sound like this, but it's like, yo, sometimes, yes, get to know him a little bit. Make him put a little bit of effort in. Like, damn. Because if you're because the absolute truth of it is, if I smash you on the first night, I'm not ever doing anything other than what I did on that first date. Why? I got the whole cow now.
Here is the thing that I think is interesting to add to that. And we've talked about it. If 80% of women want 20% of the men, the thing about it is they are competing for that 20%. And unfortunately, that's backwards. I don't ever think women should be competing to men. I think we should make ourselves available when the right man comes along. But I've never been one to talk about, let me go compete. I didn't compete for you. I made myself available, and I showed to be the type of woman without knowing it, because going into this, I didn't know what you were looking for in your next part. I had no idea. I showed up as me. I showed up healed. I showed up as a woman who was interested in a man who wanted to know more. That's how I showed up. So when I showed up that way, he was like, "Oh no, yeah, let's get this going." But there was never. I don't think I ever asked about what other women are you see. There's like, what other women you're talking to, and did you say that to her? All of that extra negative men right in the beginning. I showed up as me. And the only situation we even had was, again, your past situation, right? And I was just kind of like, if that door is not closed, let me know now, because I'm not getting involved with somebody who's got some residual stuff over there. I'm willing to walk away.
I get it.
And that was the only, but when it came to what other women, are you saying this to other women? No, because I was interested in you getting to know me and me getting to know you. I never thought of it as I'm competing for you, because I think that's just contrary to who I am as a woman, because men seek wives. So when women are out there doing all of that extra and then they get burned, it's because they were competing for a man who didn't really want them.
You nailed that, kind of, because it should be 80% of the men competing for
20% of the women.
Like the very baddest women. But y'all done changed what a bad bitch is, so now Instagram has got 3.3 million bad bitches.
It's true.
And I know good and well it's not that many in the world, in America.
And women are now competing.
And I just threw that number out there.
And women are now competing by having babies. That's the competition. Because did you hear about Elon Musk? Elon Musk had babies with somebody who he worked with months before he had a baby with a woman he was with. That's how women are competing now. I'm going to one-up you with babies. You don't need to commit to me. I'm going to commit myself to you. Ladies, that's what it sounds like when you are having babies for men who don't want you. You're not committing to me. I'm going to commit myself to you forever.
I am going to hitch to your wagon.
And that's stupid.
And too many of us are not. are not risk averse enough to not play those games. What we've learned, like now, I would not never play those type of games. You can't have casual sex when women casually having babies. Doesn't work.
Because that's how women are behaving.
You got a nut, and you know and you got a baby out of it. Like, and she hit you with a baby. Like, no, that's not a fair trade off.
But women will say a woman who submits to her man and a man who leads his household, that's a dynamic that's crazy.
Yeah,
but they'll go up there and attach themselves to a man who said, I don't want a baby with you.
They think submission is Derek and Keyshawn on
Oh,
he choking you while you're pregnant and all this kind of crazy stuff.
that is what women think about submission. They think, again, remember, subpar.
She's far from submissive. She's anything but that, actually. But that's, I think, how, again, it always goes back to the archetypes of like, I don't know how women survived into the modern world. Y'all were an endangered species.
Yeah, we were being abused and
kidnapped and
slavery
and sex trafficked and raped in marriages and damn.
No, there are women who I've heard who said that, those women, they feel sorry for women back in the day who did those stuff because it was clear that they wanted to go out there and do their own thing, but the men, they were kept down by the men and all that stuff.
No, because back then, let's go rewind 100 years. There was no call centers. There was no paralegal jobs all over the place. No, there was none of that cushy shit. If you wanted a job, you had to go get your ass out in the field. And there was in the factories. And there was not as many women, nowhere near as many women competing for those type of jobs. Let's keep it above. But now the world is easier and softer, and y'all out there thinking, oh, well, if men can do it. No, you can't. That's like me saying, well,
that's so true. I never thought about it. A lot of these jobs.
I was on OnlyFans and trying to sell some of these twerking pictures.
It's so ridiculous.
I'm gonna put the sock on, the penis sock, and get on there and twerk and see how many subscriptions I get.
No.
Exactly.
No,
exactly.
Like you. Like I'm picturing that now.
She could definitely start.
I know. I definitely could start an OnlyFans. I would make probably a ton of money too, but I digress. I would not start an OnlyFans just for people who work there. We don't need that type of money, trust me. Because anyways, we gonna go there. Once you open Pandora's box, and that's what people have to realize. Once you open Pandora's box, that can be open. Pepper Seed is saying only a lady can submit. She submits to a gentleman. It doesn't make sense in the reverse. Women would not, all this idea of I would respect him. No, you don't. Those men are being called simps now. Those men who are submitting to their women and are being overtly challenged by their women. The ones who people are putting up on social media of women yelling at their men, talking about you made food and didn't make me a plate and all of that's different stuff. Men are clowning them. Women are clowning them. So you say you want a man who equally submits, but those are the men who get disrespected by women and for social media, they're putting that up for clout. Those men are submitting to their women.
Whatever.
Men don't want to procreate. That's why, again, only a small percentage of men are the ones that women are having babies for, because according to them, they want their babies because it's biology. You want your children to have the best and strongest genes. That's actually what you want. And so you look at a man like Robert and you think, that's the type of man I want to have a baby with. And it doesn't matter if he said, Robert could say he's got 15 kids. And I guarantee you, if it wasn't me, there would be a woman lining up to have baby number 16 because he's genetically what it is that they want. I'm going to put I ain't have no babies.
I know I ain't either.
There's never a baby that would ever come out of my vagina ever again after the one I had. But there are women in that mind who, again, genetically, that is why. So these men that are the weaker men, they're not having those babies. So again, that comes down to it. So you can't say you want a man to equally submit if you're not even looking at the men who would, quote unquote, be okay with an equal partnership household. Those men are not getting chosen by women. No women are sliding into their DMs.
And they're too busy calling them lame and not having respect in them. And it's just, again, he look here, man. Ladies, let me give y'all another piece of advice. There's basically two, like the best way I can put it is like I heard a comedian once say, it's like nobody writes love songs like fat men.
Oh my God, that's so true. Luther
You know what I'm
Vandross.
saying?
Woo!
Because fat men look at women in that way because they're so unobtainable. They're so hard to get. That, oh, you're so beautiful. Oh, she's such an angel. And if you knew she really a 304 and what kind of stuff she be doing on the low, like I did as the dude on the basketball team and all that other stuff, you know, she like I said, some dudes got to abide by all of her rules. And some dudes, when she meets you, should just throw them all out. And you got to figure out which one you is and deal with that. It's you can't really convert yourself from one to the other.
And as a woman, to think that you're not going to be respectfully cooperative and then all of a sudden meet a man and say, yes, that's the man. Because a man can spot a fake.
Oh.
He is going
Absolutely.
to call you out. So those moments of, you know what, I'm going to give you this if you give me that.
It's too transactional.
That's what it becomes.
That's where you get into, like I said, the same thing of, oh, if you step outside of our relationship with another woman, I'm leaving you and I'm taking our kids. And that's basically you saying he needs to submit to you. I repeat, men are not wired for submission. Women are. That's why it's natural for you. That's why it's so difficult for us.
Well, we came from your rib.
How in the hell is we supposed to go out and hunt and kill and do all of that shit if we wired for submission?
If you have to look to me for permission.
Right.
Babe, can I, there's a boar over there. Can I go and
might be gone for 2 or 3 days
to go deal with
go track the deers up north. Is
that okay?
You're gonna stay here with the baby. No, it's like this. You're gonna go do this. Your ass is gonna be hungry.
Starve.
There's
You're
nothing to talk about. I'm going hunting.
That's what it sounds like when you talk about equal submission. Like, you're not gonna look at
and
me.
Let me come back and find another nigga in my cave.
Because you were gone for 2 weeks. And I got lonely. And I didn't know what you were out there doing on these streets. So I needed someone to keep me warm.
You cheated. I was off hunting.
And that was the reality of people's lives. That was the reality of men in the military and men in Alaska.
6 months and fishing to make $100K to bring home to your stinking ass. And you worried about his fidelity. And you sleeping with his cousin while he gone. Because he cheated on you. And then you wonder why y'all are now on one of them murder shows.
Not one of my murder shows.
No, man, certain stuff, man. Come on, man. For the certain stuff is the type of violation that a person that doesn't have the ability to completely compose themselves. Shit, sometimes people that do just snap, like like we was watching the show. Like, man, I don't know, like as a man, how I would respond coming home, walking in my bedroom, and she's down on her knees topping some dude off. Yo! I can't say that I'm just gonna be like,
listen.
Okay, I guess we're through.
If you guys watch P-Valley, we just ruined a little bit of you. For one of the episodes, we won't tell you which one on P-Valley, my dude comes home early from being away dealing with some stuff, and his wife is there on her knees in their bedroom listen, I was like, and so when he tried to choke him out and sent him running down the street naked, and he didn't even get the man to take his clothes, and she was like, whatever excuses she started to make, and then had the nerve to have an attitude with him after her mouth was fully on something. Like, it was crazy to me. She had the nerve to then pick up an attitude with him and make excuses about it's a violation. So no.
So imagine he just came from hunting and then he just.
It happens.
Like, we're wired very different.
And this is why, again, we're calling it respectful cooperation. If you respect your relationship, you're not going to do certain things, right? It is respectful cooperation. People want to call it, women like me being weak and I'm being cheated on and Rob is probably not as faithful and all the things that I do for him and blah, blah, blah. We have a respectful, cooperative relationship.
I have not made her do shit since we've been together.
I do everything on my own. Because I want to.
That's what I'm saying. I just to clear it up. I have not made her do anything. And actually, some of the stuff she does, like she knows I complain about it, I take it, but it does seem a little over the top and stuff like that. But again, it's nice. Like I said, once you've had it, it'll be very difficult dealing with someone who don't want it. Like, you just gonna let me walk around here ashy? You're gonna talk shit and make me lay down and lotion me? What is wrong with you?
Yeah, my girlfriend has said, like, Rob is screwed if anything ever happens to me. Like, if I decide to leave, if anything, God forbid, happens to me, like, health-wise, she's like, Rob is screwed. No one is doing for him what you
What do
do.
you mean you don't know where my belt is?
Like, she's like, girl, I can't even be your sister wife because I ain't doing none of the stuff. Like, she's like, Rob is spoiled. And I take pride in it. I take pride in
more
him
than
being
y'all
spoiled.
realize. Again, and it's not discounting what she's saying.
I know, I get it.
She's spicy.
I am Jamaican.
We deal with it. You know what I'm saying? But never once have I had to be like, goddamn it, Keisha, you get in the car.
What does that mean with me?
It's just saying some stuff. Like, again, like, look, matter of fact, I don't even have to explain. When certain stuff, I just do it because that's what needs to be done. If certain stuff I need to take care of it, and I take care of it. I don't got to explain it to her. I'm like, oh, the TV in the living room. I didn't say, is it okay with you if, no. And now she loves it. She enjoys it.
Yeah, we do. Listen.
There's certain stuff look, I got this, she's got that.
Respectful
You know what I'm
cooperation.
saying?
Respectful cooperation.
That's like she making spaghetti and she go in the bathroom and I come in there and just start putting all kind of ingredients and shit in it.
Because I think it was
How is
better
that
this
helping?
way.
Nah, it's gonna be better this way. You need more basil.
That's what women want.
That's just getting in the way. I don't know how much. And matter of fact, I didn't even taste the spaghetti. I just started seasoning shit.
Because you thought your way was going to be better than mine.
Well, that's how you usually do it. So I was just going off of that.
Well, that's what you said earlier, right? Like, respectful cooperation. What you say is just you because I even wrote it down. You were saying something about it's being able to do what you do without, me getting in the way. I think I sent you a text about it. And when Rob says certain things, I have to like get in that moment so he doesn't get. But I was like, you were saying,
yeah, because you respect him, it means you're not in the way of what he's trying to do. You're not. You respect him. So if he's saying y'all moving to Dallas, y'all motherfucking moving to Dallas. Now, if you think he's an idiot that doesn't have a job and ain't got nowhere for y'all to stay when y'all get there and has no type of idea how to put together the infrastructure of your life when you get there, then how'd y'all get there in the first place?
that's not the man for you.
How'd y'all get so far along? You think he's an idiot? Why do women be with men that they think they're better than when they really want a man that they know is better than them?
Oh.
I don't understand that shit. You think you're gonna coach this nigga up?
Yes, a lot of women think that.
Please. Men done gave up on it. How about that?
Oh, men done giving up on him, and you in there talking about you're gonna love him back to health. And it's right? Because it's interesting when women hear what Jazz said about, like that loving my man is my superpower. She's not talking about them some broke down guy on the crate on the corner by the bodega who's been there for 5 years.
Talking about a
It's
nigga that was
Cam
drafted
Newton.
number
Thank
one.
you. It's Cam Newton. So yes, she's gonna show him
He won
love.
the Heisman. I think he deserves a little special
So
treatment.
yeah, when I will rub Rob's back, Rob was a professional basketball player. Okay, like Rob has 2 advanced degrees. So yeah, I'm gonna rub his back to sleep. I'm gonna soak his feet. And I'm gonna take a little and I'm gonna make sure they look good. Let's be clear. You don't submit or be respectfully cooperative to just any man. You don't just pick. And again, most men in the position where they're at that know that, listen, my life isn't together, isn't usually asking a woman to be submissive to him because he got to get his crap together.
He usually really shouldn't be even really looking for a woman like that.
And most of the men want to. That's why, and that's why, this is the last time I'm going to say, ladies, when a man says, I'm not ready for a relationship right now, there's a reason for that. Stop thinking you're going to convince that man to take it to the next level. There are demons that he may be fighting with financially, spiritually, all of that stuff that he's like, I gotta get my shit together before I'm in a position where I can be with any woman. But a lot of women hear that and they're not trying to hear that. Oh, I'm gonna show him I am the woman, but he's dealing with
I'm
stuff
gonna help you.
And that ain't gonna work. He needs to be in a space where he's like, yes, I'm ready to be the type of man to the woman I want. So when that woman comes along, when I came along, Rob did not hesitate.
Right.
So we are at the question and answer period of the show. If you have any questions for us, we're always happy to answer. What's your question?
You could change one thing about me. What would it be? I just, that's a tough question for me because I understand that it's like sliders. If you move it to the left, you pulled it away from the right. You know what I mean? So you change this, you're giving up that, you're losing that. So I'll take her in her totality. She's annoying, but I love her.
Thanks, Dave. Oh, you would change anything. Okay. God, okay. Do you have a sexual fantasy you've never shared with me before?
Oh, you would get that question.
Of course I would.
You wrote it, so
I know.
That's right that you answered.
Do I have a sexual fantasy I've never shared with you? No, I share everything. Like Rob, I think I share some things Rob would rather not have known. He was like, I don't know if you should have told me that, but I'm like, you're my best friend. Like, who else am I gonna tell but the man I have sex with about my proclivities? So no, you know. You know all my stuff.
What's your favorite late night snack? Baked goods or cereal, but got to be careful with the milk. You know.
I would say it's the cereal because Lot of mercy. If I go to bed before him and I wake up, there's always a bowl in the thing. So that's why you need to start drinking almond milk. You'd be fine with almond milk.
Fine, but it's
I just
ain't found one that I really like.
Almond milk is fantastic.
2% is great too.
Not when you're farting up the place in the middle of the night in the bed. So clearly we're now switching you to almond milk. My question, is there anything you've done in a past relationship that you wish you never did? Loan someone money that I never got back.
That's what's up. Now, this question, I believe she wrote specifically for me.
I did? What question is it? Let me look over.
Listen to this question. Have you ever faked an orgasm? Not necessarily with me, but in general. Tell me this doesn't sound like a question. I'm going to repeat this. That she wrote specifically for me. Have you ever faked an orgasm? Not necessarily with me, but in general.
So have you?
No, the answer is no, because I believe that is pointless. You don't have to orgasm every time as a man. And if she's butt hurt by that, then what's she going to do? Not give you that no more?
Yeah, because would it be difficult for men to fake? Because you have to be like, and do all that extra
do all
stuff.
that goofy shit.
I think that's weird.
No, it's just like, you've been beating the brakes off her and you tired and you just like, I'm good, man. Like, mission accomplished, somebody will sleep.
All right then. Good answer, I guess. Good answer. I know I did. I just wrote it.
No, that was specifically for me. Like,
so I could have chosen it.
Not in general. So then you get yourself the out.
Then I would have
programmed it. Not with me. Not necessarily with me. But in general.
But in general. I'm just saying. Have you ever been on a blind date? It's a good question. I've been on somewhat of a blind date. Like my girlfriends, one point when I was single in my younger days and they wanted to marry me off, they'd set me up with someone I'd met previously in passing. So it wasn't a complete blind date. But I would say, and well, clearly that didn't work out. So last questions before we move on.
Okay. What is your favorite book? Oh, that is a difficult question. Because I like reading a lot of different genres. I like reading for a lot of different reasons. Off the bat, the thing that jumps to my head is I still haven't, as far as fiction, as far as pop culture, I haven't really read anything that topped it, is World War Z. It was just the book. The movie couldn't even ever do the book justice. If you've never read the book, pick it up. It's written from the perspective of the survivors of the zombie apocalypse, and it's just talking about it's them just telling their stories basically, and it just paints a completely different, a much more robust world and record of what actually happened than they could have gotten a little 2 hour movie.
Good to know.
Max somebody, I can't remember the author's name right now.
Okay.
Max something.
So my question, would you rather only be able to have sex first thing in the morning or only be able to have sex at midnight? If I had to choose, I would do midnight. I would rather have sex at night and go to sleep than be woken up in the morning to have sex. Because in the morning, it always feels rushed. Like generally when you wake up in the morning, you're thinking about all of the things that you have to do I am thinking about all the things I have to do throughout the day. At night, all the things are done. The dishes are in the dishwasher. The kids are off to bed. All those things, and I can be a little bit more relaxed. You are just like whatever.
I'm the opposite. Like midnight, I'm tired.
No, midnight. Yeah, he's waking me up in the morning. He's like, babe. I'm like, it's 4:30 in the morning.
I'm fresh.
No, you're not, because you've got like morning breath, which I hate. But like you're bushy-eyed and what did it say, bushy tail and wide-eyed or something.
Brush the teeth and all that, but like yeah, man, that is funny though. We are actually on opposite ends of that spectrum. She's midnight. I'm early in the morning.
So we have to create a balance.
We hit each other off, basically.
Almost joke. So we've gotten to the end of the show. We want to thank everyone for joining us for this show. If you have any suggestions for show topics, anything you'd like us to discuss, if you want to join us for an episode, if you want to challenge us, we welcome all of that. Again, we are not trying to be couple goals or relationship goals. We are just telling you what we do in our relationship to stay together, because we plan to do this forevermore. And I tell him if he, dies, if I die before him, I'm going to haunt him to death. So we want to thank our sponsor, Sorrel and Sage. Make sure that you visit them at Sorrel and Sage, CA on their Instagram, or shop sorrelandsage.com. They do have a new product that is named after me. It's named Sheba. So go check it out and let us know what you think. And again, we always say, if you bring a little fuck your feelings into your life, it just might make you stay together. Thank you, Sam. Sam said great show tonight. And again, any ideas, any topics, any clips that you see that you want us to talk about and react to, we are here. So until next week, we wish you adieu. Goodbye.
Peace.